welcome back. So I just finished publishing my latest blog post entitled Confessions from a Stay-at-Home Mom Veteran. And I really wanted to just kind of share some funny stories about my kids growing up, some of the things that really stood out in my mind. There's probably more that I haven't thought of, but I wanted to share today in this video just a little bit about staying at home and just kind of how to get through being a stay-at-home mom, because it really is not easy at all. I was a stay-at-home mom for probably about a good 15, 16 years. And if you haven't seen any of my previous videos or have read my blog, I have 5 children, 4 boys and 1 girl. She's the youngest. And most of them are grown. My youngest, my daughter's 18 years old. And so I've kind of been there and have lived through it. And my house with my kids was completely different than how I grew up. I'm the oldest of 4, so I was accustomed to being in a big family, but in growing up, I have 2 sisters, so we had mainly girls, where I had mainly boys, and so it's completely different having a lot of boys than having a lot of girls. And so my house was always very loud. Boys liked to wrestle. Boys liked to jump on things. They loved to play video games. I probably had kids at my house every single day. Then when my daughter came around, she was kind of she liked girly things, but she also loved hanging around with her brothers, and she would try to hang out with them, and they didn't always want her to. And so she liked to do ballerina stuff, and she'd be twirling around the boys as they're trying to watch video games, and she would be like screeching at the top of her lungs just as she twirled around. So it was loud. It was loud, to say the least. And my boys were extremely active. They played sports, and we always went to every game together as a family. Home games, away games, we always went. It was just what we did. And so it was a lot. It was a lot taking them grocery shopping. It was a lot getting out of the house. A lot of things to pack, a full carload, a lot of kids to keep track of. I will say I never left anywhere without forgetting one. That never happened, thank goodness. But I just wanted to briefly talk about 3 things that really helped me to get through those years, because now that I'm on the other side of it, knowing what I know, knowing all that I went through, knowing the challenges, the hardships, I would still do it all over again. I don't have one single regret about staying at home, and I'm so glad that I was there when my kids got home from school, that I was the house that all the kids came to. So absolutely no regrets. Not easy thing, but absolutely no regrets. One of the things that I did was I made sure to connect with older moms. I was fortunate at the church that I went to. I met so many wonderful people, and there were so many moms that were around my age, that had kids around my age, and some of them that I'm still friends with today. And so it's definitely important to surround yourself with other moms. But I also connected with moms who were a lot older, who were like 15 years or so older than me, and who had kids that were, either in high school or out of school, when my kids were still in elementary school. And every once in a while, when I was feeling kind of stressed and feeling like I was a lost, because I think that that's kind of an easy feeling when you are a stay-at-home mom, to just kind of feel like you've lost some part of your identity, because your life is made up of cleaning the toilet and doing laundry and cleaning the kitchen and changing diapers, or running around kids to all these different things. And you can sometimes feel like, this is my life. Like this is all I do. And it doesn't seem like much, and it doesn't seem like a strong contribution. And there were times where I felt somewhat envious of other moms who worked, that they got to get up every day and dress nice and put on heels and go somewhere and leave their house. And and I'm here in, sweatpants and cleaning gloves, and, I'm lucky if I get a shower in before noon. And it just felt like such a contrast. So in those moments when I just felt like I was just, running low and, feeling kind of lost, I always reached out to an older mom and, made a coffee date or a dinner date, and just talked about how I was feeling. And I have to say that was so beneficial. It's so different when you're talking to an older mom than when you're talking to a mom who's, in the trenches with you, because, the older moms have such a different perspective because they're kind of either on the other side of it or they're on their way to the other side of it. And so they have a wider perspective on what you're going through. And so it's nice to get that encouragement that what you're feeling is okay and that it's normal and that it gets better. And so if you're struggling with being a stay-at-home mom, I would strongly encourage you to reach out to any moms that are older and, strike up a friendship and, find someone that you can confide in and receive some encouragement from. Along with that, as I mentioned, was just always, having friends that were in the trenches. And so I had a lot of friends that, were moms, and our kids were around the same ages. And so we were having, the same types of challenges at the same time. And so I would regularly try to, go out with them. There were times where I either, went shopping and had an evening out and got a chance to, go shopping with a friend and go have dinner and just do something for me and do something fun. There were times where I actually belonged to a Bible study in the daytime, and so it was nice. I got to bring my kids along, and it was just a bunch of other moms, and we sat there, had a Bible study. We would put a frozen pizza in the oven and have lunch, and I just felt so refreshed every time I took time out to spend with other moms my age and stuff. I always just left there feeling so refreshed, and I felt so good. And so, that's another crucial element to being a stay-at-home mom, is having time, making time for yourself. It doesn't have to be often. I didn't, go out with friends every week. I mean, sometimes it was once a month or every couple of months, but it's just important to not forget yourself when you're a stay-at-home mom, because you don't really get a break. You're on 24/7, and so it's important to be able to step away and just have girl time and treat yourself and have fun. So that's another crucial thing that I feel is super important to getting through the stay-at-home mom years. And the final thing I want to talk about is just finding something that you are passionate about and making time for that as well, because all of us have interests. So if there's something that you have an interest in, one of my interests was singing, and so I belonged to the worship team at my church. And so, we had rehearsals. They used to fluctuate from once a week to twice a week. My ex-husband was great about staying home and allowing me to do that. And that was just a passion of mine. And so I think it's really important to, have something that you're passionate about, or just something that you have interest in, and making time for that, because, you're not just a mom. You don't lose who you are just because you had kids and just because you're at home taking care of them. But, you still have dreams and passions and things that you want to do. And so I think it's important to never lose sight of that. And so as much as you possibly can, try to make some level of time even if it's just 10 minutes a week, but just something where you are still kind of growing that passion that you have, and you're still making time for it. You're still kind of staying in tune to maybe things that are changing in that. And so I just think that those are probably the top three things that I would say will help you to get through being a stay-at-home mom, is making friends with older moms and using them for encouragement. And when you're really struggling, surrounding yourself with other moms who have kids the same age, where you can take time and have some girl time with them. And I think never losing sight of what your passion is, and trying as best you can to make some effort into still doing the things that you love. And now that I am on the other side of it, as I mentioned before, I don't regret it. You won't regret it either. It's hard to see what the end result will be when you're in the middle of it all, and things aren't always going well, and things are struggling. If your kids are struggling and you're struggling, or your family is going through difficulties, it's kind of hard to see the happy ending at the end of it all. But being at home and taking care of your children is not something that you will ever regret doing, as hard as it may be right now. So I just encourage you to stay strong and hang in there. And if you haven't read my blog with all of my funny stories of my kids, go to norinessconfessions.com and read up on those. And I will talk to you next week. Bye.